term is.
Recording
Hey,
in progress.
welcome to our Grand Rapids Woodturners Guild March meeting. We're trying to get going. I think sounds like my volume just went down. Is it good? Not Pete. Ken's got something right off top here he wants to say. So step on up to the mic.
Hello. Morning, everybody. Just a quick, I believe that we've actually been meeting here at the store now for 2 years. It's going to be right about this time frame that we came over. So what our manager has offered is I have some coupons for 20% off one item in the store today. I'll leave a stack up here and a...
What's your most expensive item?
You know, if it qualifies for our discount program, it's there. Normal exclusions will apply. You know, if you can plug it in, it ain't going to work, okay? That's the short answer. But majority of the stuff out there would apply. So take a coupon. I'm going to leave a stack up here. I'll put a stack on the corner of the raffle table there. And take advantage. There's a code that we have to take off these, put into the system. So if they want to get here before sometime today, I will honor it. So, all right. Thank you very much and have a good meeting.
Okay, now Pete, you got to readjust my volume. I think I'm down a little bit. Not too much though. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right,
yes,
hopefully everybody's happy with my volume. We got a new computer and I'm using a different mic, so things have changed a little bit here. Welcome to all new members. I think I saw a couple of new faces out there. If you're new and you'd like to stand up and tell us about yourself, raise your hand and stand up and tell us about yourself. Stand on up. What's your name? All right, welcome. You been turning long?
I turned a lot in high school, and then I kind of took a little break from it. So I was turning for like about 2 years, and then
Okay.
took a break. Yeah.
Have you got a lathe?
Just a mini lathe.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes.
All right. Anybody else new here? Right here.
Irvin, I joined tonight. I visited a couple months ago. I belong to the Holly Club also. I live just the other side of Lansing. I've been turning probably 20 years now, but look forward to seeing this club.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. So welcome, members. If you are new people, if some of our other group here hasn't paid their dues yet, our treasurer is Gary Stanton, our membership man. Gary's our membership. Pete's our treasurer. Both of them will take your name and number, but probably you should give it to Gary because he's the one who manages our email list. So if you, right now our dues are $35. That's for the year. We have some amenities that are available to our members. We have a library back there. You can take out books and videos and check that out. We have a sharpening station. If you don't have one, you're welcome to come here on the weekend. It's sitting inside of our cage there, but we can plug that in and you can sharpen your tools if you need it. We have a Wolverine setup for it. We have the raffle table. We have mentorship. If you're a member, you'll get our newsletter. And in our newsletter, we have mentors that are listed, that are scattered around the city. And, if you want to get with one of them in their shop and ask questions, or you just want to come out and see what they're working on, we're fine with that. Come on out and see what we're working on. And if you got something you want to bring along, we'd be happy to look at it and say, hey, this is what I would do, or we'll help you out with that if you need help. So that's that. Moving on down the list. Last month, our maintenance was about lathes and chucks, and I gave some bad information on that. When I rebuilt that chuck, somebody asked me, hey, do you have to get them jaws back in order? And I said, these are not numbered. I don't know why I said that. I know that Nova lathes are all numbered on the end. and I actually put that back together wrong. and I looked at it and thought, oh, they're right in order. I couldn't believe it, but they were wrong the wrong way. They were going counterclockwise instead of clockwise, and I got my jaws on there, and they didn't line up. Go figure.
Can I expand on that? The new Nova Chucks, the newer version of that, stop putting numbers on the end of the dogs, and they're putting a little pin dot on the inside where everything comes together, so they still are numbered,
Yeah.
but they're not as visible. So
That-
you have to push everything in, and you'll have 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot, or 4 dot.
Is that on the chuck too? Or I know the jaws. My new jaws are like that. They're on the edge of the jaws, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But
This is
the chuck itself.
the ways that are moving
Okay.
your jaws in and out.
Because the same thing's on the actual jaws too. They just have dots on there, 1, 2, 3, and 4 dots to indicate which one it is. And yes, they do have to be on the right order, otherwise things don't line up right. So my bad. I gave out some bad information. I think when I put the video out, I put a caption in there that I put out some bad information. So hopefully anybody rebuilding their chuck didn't go home and put it together wrong and were cussing and swearing at me like, yeah, that guy gave me some bad information. So let's see. Today's our demonstration today is I'm going to make a Celtic wedding goblet. Next month we were supposed to have Tracy Lee here, and she canceled on us. So we will not have the Tracy Lee and the workshop and all that next month. Instead, I was going to bring up that piece of yours, Tom. I forgot. Instead, we are going to, after our meeting next month, we're going to have a Turning for Troops 10 day, and we're going to set up all of our lathes. And after our meeting, we're going to turn pens for the troops, which is they turn pens, and then we donate them to service members of our armed forces and such. We're going to open that up to the public, so we're doing this in coordination with Woodcraft. So we're going to have, if the public wants to come down, they've never turned, they want to turn a pen, we're going to try to have people here that help them turn pens. There's probably going to be some pizza involved. We talked about that, and so we're going to provide pizza for the people who stay, and we need to have, probably 3 or 4 of our members who can turn pens hang around that afternoon to help turn pens. So if you can help with that, I appreciate it if you let us know so we can kind of know who we can plan on being there for doing our Turning for Troops. But it's a lot of fun to get there with your buddies and stuff and turn some pens and see how everybody else does it, because we're not going to say this is how you have to do it. We're going to let the people show us how they turn those pens, and then we'll probably try and turn 50 or 60 pens in 3 hours. So that's the plan. Our demonstration next month, any questions on that?
Is that after the meeting or during the meeting?
After the meeting. So after we're all done, we're done with the raffle table, I pack everything up, our lathes will be set up here, and then we'll turn pens. So are you volunteering, Terry?
I brought 6 of them already.
All right. Okay. Well, so maybe next month you can hang out and help us turn pens. So, any other questions about the pen turning? Okay. Our demonstration next month, Tom Penninga is going to show how he made this. So he'll turn it and then show how he cuts all the grooves in that. So that'll be a fun little demonstration for next month.
Is that what happens when you put the jaws in wrong?
Exactly. Yeah. So what happens when you get your finger stuck in there?
That's a catch.
Yeah. So you can put that back. Moving on down the list, there has been a scam going on. Like, we don't have enough scams to worry about with emails. So people are getting into the AAW site, because you can go there and not be a member and find your local chapter, and it'll tell you who their local president, which would be me, and it tells you who the leadership team is. And if they decide to join, if this person who's scamming stuff decides to pay $40 and join the AAW, he can get a list of the entire roster of everybody who's an AAW member and in this group. And what they do is they're sending out emails to those members that has my name on the bottom that says, hey, we're raising money for something. Please click here to make a donation. Or please buy Amazon gift cards and then send the information to this number, and it's not us.
What's your
Yeah. For one, I do not send information. I don't send any emails out to the group that came from my email address. They all come through Gary. So everything that comes from our group should come from Cynthia Humphreys. He's our email person. So if you see anything from our guild that does not come from Gary, disregard it. It's a scam. Especially if they're asking for money. We don't ask for money via email. I'll sit right here and beg you for it in person, but we are not going to send out an email and ask you to buy an Amazon gift card and then forward me the information. It's not going to happen. So watch out for that. If you get something like that, let me know. If you get something like that, let Gary know. Respond to Gary and say, hey, we got this. I got one of these because we're trying to share those. They've been sharing them on the AAW site with all the presidents and the leadership teams, and I've seen a lot of the emails that the other groups have been getting. And some of them are pretty good. Some of them are pretty convincing, and they've had some of their members get scammed. So keep an eye out for that. After our meeting today, we're going to have an excursion to the Grand Rapids Museum to check out their 100-year-old lathe, our 120-year-old lathe. We're going to have somebody there. They'll turn some stuff, and you'll be able to. Are they going to be able to get back in the room and actually look at it and stuff? See?
If they promise not to touch anything.
Okay. Because I don't know if you've been to the Grand Rapids Museum, it's sit in front of a big glass window where you can go and watch people turn stuff. And then there's inside the room is the entire shop. The whole shop came from a chair store in Cadillac that made chairs in the late 1800s. And the museum bought the entire shop. So it's all set up there with some of the old parts and stuff, the chair rails and the lathe and some of the other equipment that they use. It's all belt-driven. That ran off a water system off from the Cadillac River. So it's really cool to go in there and check it all out and see how all that works. So that is today after our meeting. If you are interested in that, you need to see Tom on the break. You can still do that. Just see him, and he'll let you know the details. Your parking's going to be all taken care of and everything, right? So you just got to say, hey, I want to do it, and then go down there and he'll get you in. I think that is everything I have. Is there anything I'm missing before we go to show and tell? Okay, we're going to go to show and tell. And here's your coupons. Let's put these back on that back table. So show and tell's up here. Here's a little screen that you can see how your picture looks online when you set your part here, your whatever it is you have. So come around the side here with your piece. State your name into the microphone, and then tell us about your show and tell, okay? Oh, yeah, and if you're online, you got show and tell. Ruby's already got her hand up. Click your emoji on the bottom where it says raise hand. You can see it, and it'll raise your hand, and then we'll call you online, all right? Thank you. Go ahead, Ray.
All right, Ray Leninga. A little bit unusual for this group, but I don't know if you can see this. A neighbor of mine in Heritage Hill has 5 columns, and of course they've been there for 120 years, not doing so well anymore. Had a little bit of difficulty measuring what the replacement should be, because they were all different, because they're all kind of being compressed. But this is made with white oak. The ones that are there probably have survived quite a while. This will survive longer than I'm alive, so I'm sure it'll be a while. And I tried to get no edge grain on any of these and not overlap the seams. So a little different kind of project, but the next challenge is installation. And if anybody would like to volunteer.
Who's making the columns?
We're using the existing columns, and hopefully they'll be okay. So, anyway, that's it.
How many you got to make?
5.
Got to make 5 of them.
Yeah.
Front.
How many of you here are familiar with making a bowl from a board?
Yes.
Oh, good. I work in the Fremont High School wood shop, and a couple of guys in there were gluing up chunks of wood in various different ways, and they were going to make a bowl from the board. And I had done it, but I'm going to delve into it again and see what I can do to save them some trouble. So here's where you start, something like that. This is called a dizzy bowl. And I don't know what this is called, but I made it by stacking a square of maple on top of a square of walnut and cutting it whatever shape you wanted. And you've got to be careful going through the bandsaw that you do not push the blade from vertical, or that'll affect your lines. And on this one here, you can see where I got off the line just enough angle that it again have a good clear cut. And then we made a jig to lay on the tool rest that was set at 45, and I don't necessarily care for the straight sides in, so I go 45, 50, and then 60, and that way I get a more natural looking bowl out of it. The nice thing about bowl from a board is you don't have to hollow the whole thing. When you get it all glued up, it's half done. You just got to clean up the edges. The hard part of gluing them up, in however you're doing it, is keeping all the lines lined up. This is 4 different pieces, and when you line up all these lines, they're all supposed to match. I don't understand how that happens. But I know how they get out of alignment. When you're clamping, you have to be very careful that they don't shift. And I have a press that presses down on everything, but that is not a cure because that can still cause a twist to it. So what I've started doing is putting hot glue, hot melt glue in 3 or 4 places on the outside to help hold it in place before I clamp it, or even CA glue, and that'll help to hold it in place so it doesn't move. If it moves, it kind of, well, it's another twist to your bowl that you really didn't want. So they're fun. You go on YouTube, and there are so many different ways, so many different things that they're doing in the process, and it's fun to watch and fun to learn, and that's what I'm learning. I've been learning ever since the guild's been around, if not longer. So if you stop learning, you might as well quit turning.
Let me see what it said.
Dave Curley, and I turned this Thursday night, and I like the shape. I like the feet. I didn't, somebody commented, "Oh, that's a nice finish." I think it was Bruce. And I haven't even started that part of it yet, but I had to carve because I wanted to get the mass out of there in case it decided to crack. I am developing some. Let me put it down. You can kind of see it did develop some cracks on the end grain portions of that already. But those might fill back in when it completely dries. Maybe not, but I don't really mind cracks that much. They're design opportunities, in my opinion. But this was made from a piece of walnut that I got earlier this month, and I brought in a piece it's at the end of the table here. So it's a really nice straight grain piece of walnut. When I got these rounds, I didn't want to chainsaw it because I didn't want to make a mess. So I took a wedge, found the little crack. One hit, split it right in half. It was the sweetest stuff I ever split with a maul before. So anyway. Did that part break off? You glued it back on? No, I don't. No. So this probably fell in the wintertime, or it was fell in the wintertime. So it'll probably stay on, But even if it doesn't, I know how to do stuff, around there. So I never worry about that too much, But so I haven't put any super glue or anything like that on here. So, yep.
My theory is once you've got it turned,
Yeah, if it comes off while you're turning, yep.
might come off while you're turning, but once you're finished, I've never had bark come off.
Yeah.
Something.
You might
unless
get
it's
a little like a weak spot or something, but chances are you're the only one that'll ever notice, so.
Good morning. I'm Gary Humphreys, and as Doug said, I keep the records on membership. Any emails from me come under my wife's name, Cynthia Humphreys. We share the same email because I don't like spending time on the computer. The last umpteen years of my career, I was on the computer all day, and she gets the messages and lets me know if I get a message. One of the other benefits of this club is all of the things I made here today came from wood from that table. That Tom Penninga brought in those ends from the historic Hackley House restoration, some nice mahogany. And I've not done the bowl from a board yet, but these were just all short ends. And I can glue these up so that I glued them up, and I got almost an Escher print with the various geometry and other cross-secting lines. It's not a very good bowl, but I thought it could be used as a fancy wastebasket. And then from one of the other meetings, I got this piece of pine. We don't usually get excited about using pine, so I kept it thicker proportions, and the coloration and how the soft and harder areas came out just made it interesting. I thought that was fun, and I like that design enough. You've seen me most meetings that I just love turning wood. I like wood, I like the grain, I like the fragrance, and I like that design. So this again was a piece of black walnut that I got from the raffle table, and I used a similar design that you keep. There's nothing new under the sun. You think you come up with a new one, and then as you go through the magazines, someone else used that design too. But it's fun. Thank you.
My name is Carol Moberg, and I was given some large chunks of mahogany, and so I cut a piece out and did this with resin and put some colored, turquoise-colored stones in it, and they all sunk down, which I was really happy to see that. So anyway, and I used a myelin finish on it. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Renee Bieland. I'm kind of new to the meetings since last fall, but I was traveling, so I didn't come to many meetings. So I just did those actually right before Christmas. I was going to give them away, but decided to keep them because I was exploring the different shapes here. And I did all those with the bag of scraps that they sell here, the plastic. So instead of making pens, I decided to make those with it. And so in exploring, as you can tell, I was really working with trying to explore different shapes of doing those. So it's kind of fun. So now I keep them as an example for myself, actually.
Show them what's inside when you open it.
Oh, yeah. So these are corkscrew. Same time. So I really like working with plastics, actually. I'm learning, a lot of YouTube stuff.
What, do they have those kits here?
No, this is from Penn State. I ordered them online. So that's it.
These are just scraps off the wood pile. I've been playing around with small stuff, and I think I've got about 3 dozen of them or so laying around right now. This particular one, I turned this piece and then decided it needed a cover, and found a couple of pieces of things laying around on a workbench. And that little knot, when one of my daughters saw it, she remembers helping me and my father when she was less than 10 years old, cut that off a tree that I had planted when I was a kid in the yard. How she remembered that, I don't know, but I do remember it now too. And why it laid around for 40 years, I'm not sure, but I did. This was a leftover scrap from another similar one that I did a while back.
It's me again. So I brought mushrooms that I had made before, rather large ones. But a friend of mine suggested that, well, instead of making on wood, why don't you grow some morels? So I looked on the web and tried to figure out how to grow them. And it turns out it's not easy. It's not easy. There's some called saprophytic morels. They work on decaying material and so forth. And then the mycorrhizal ones that hook up to the roots and have a relationship with trees. If you're lucky, maybe 2 or 3 years later, you'll get a morel or two. So I decided the best way to get them is to make them. These are obviously not too edible, but Greg, what's his last name? Greg, that was here a couple months ago. I owe a debt to him because I thought I'll make these mushrooms and I wasn't sure how to finish them. But after using the tool and getting a little smoke, burning it in, I thought, I don't need to finish them. They're done. So that was kind of fun project.
What's it made of?
It's from, I forgot. No. Escapes me. Yeah, it's green wood I got off the back lot, that's all. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bruce Tannenhauer. Would you like to have a demo on how to turn that? Okay, I'll be truthful. It's not turned very well. In fact, that's the only turning in it, is the hole and the fitting. 2 days before Valentine's Day, I realized I didn't have something for my bride. So that's what I came up with.
Hi, my name's Doug. I'm a wood turner. This is a project I started over a year ago. It was something I wanted to be able to enter into art contest for the year 2025, and then life happened. This thing's been sitting on the shelf for like 14 months, all glued up. The segmented part was done, but nothing else. So finally, this last 2 months, I got back to it and turned it all down and hollowed it, turned it down, and tried to figure out what design I'm going to do on this. Because you start out by, you got all the grooves, 81 grooves, 81 rows this way. And then you wood burn the dividing lines, which I have 120 lines this way, up and down. And then you spend, I probably spend 12, 15 hours just making the vase, gluing it up and cutting all the pieces because I'm not real good with segmentation. Took me a while. And then it's another about 8 to 10 hours just burning all the lines in it. So you get done, you got a vase that's just all checkerboard, little squares to be painted. And then at that point I chickened out. Decided I was afraid to start painting it, so I decided I'd better come up with a practice piece. So then I turned this so that I could practice painting and seeing how many ways you can go wrong doing that, which there are 3 or 4 ways in just this little bowl that I learned you can mess things up. So a lot of it has to do with counting. You're doing a lot of counting little squares, and it's so easy to miss one number, and now suddenly your pattern's off. So, and that was one thing I had done this one. The pattern, it's real easy to see the pattern towards the middle. It stands right out. But the pattern, and then the next row, you can see that next pattern, the little kind of sideways crosses. But then the outside pattern you can't see. And it's there, but it's because I didn't line it up with the other ones. Your eye can't find it right away. And it's hard to find. Once you see it, it's like, oh, now I see it. It just doesn't line up with anything else. That was some of the learning curve. So then I got around to doing my vase, and I probably have spent, I'm normally the guy who just gets a piece of wood and I put it on the lathe and I just start turning and see what I got. I don't plan things out. Like Gary would tell you that Jeff Grill taught him, always have a plan. So this one, I had to have a plan. So I had to start out with my segmentation part and laid all that out. Then after that, I got on my computer, on my Excel, and I started doing designs, trying to figure out what designs, don't get too close, because what design I'm going to do. And this here is kind of close to what I had, but not really it. And then I thought, this is really hard to tell what it's going to look like. So then, and I didn't like the top. So then I did another one. I got probably 20 pages of this at home. I kept changing. So then I decided I wanted this top part like that. And then I wanted my dividing lines in the middle part. And then I decided I want blue in there. So I decided I was going to do blue. And then I got done with all that, and it was too much blank space. So I thought I got to put my dividing lines in here. So then I spent another 2 hours sketching out different kinds of dividing lines, and then laid it there and looked at it for a day. And my wife looked at it, and we finally decided what I should put on there. So then I finally finished my vase up. So that's the process of doing a basket weave illusion. We'll probably do a demo on this next year sometime, and probably a workshop. We've already talked about that. We might do a full day workshop and make a small bowl, but that'll be probably next year because our demonstrations are all lined up for this year. That's all I got. And we had a question here. I had to walk away while doing the wood burning because it would take me 1 hour to burn. Going this way, it'd take me like 2 hours to do 11 rows, and I had 120 to go. So I got like 8 to 10 hours just burning. After 2 hours, I'm cross-eyed. So, yeah. This I won't. Well, I made this to put into an art contest. Art contest, now I got something in her because it's been a couple years since I had something worthy. And I always feel that if you're going to put something in an art contest, the first thing that the juror or the person looking at it has got to say is, how long did that take? So I've accomplished that. And most art contests, you have to put a price on it. The price will be $5,000 because I really don't want to sell it. But if somebody wants to give me $5,000 for it, I'll be a happy camper. With the indexing tool from Chefware Kits. It's a big aluminum one, and it goes up to, I think, 144 or 180. It's got a bunch. And this wasn't the max. This was the middle, 120.
Somebody online was asking, what do you color it with?
I use Faber-Castell artist pens. They're PIT pens. They have like a felt marker, but they go right to a point. Eventually you mash the point out, but it's got India ink in it, so it goes on fairly well. Bruce. Because I didn't want it to warp. And with doing the beadings, if it's segmented, you don't have to worry about it warping. If you do, and I didn't know how I would do a one piece. Now I know if they do a one piece, they turn it, they don't hollow it, and then they put all the beads on it, and then they hollow it. Now that I know that, it's like, well, I might contemplate that. But usually, if I'm turning to one piece when it's a burl, anyways, you don't want to do this on a burl. So I did it on, and I'm in the process of making a segmented platter that's going to have this same design that this will sit in, and I'm segmenting that up too. So. Pardon me? Yeah. Yeah. So, Joe.
If you really want to make money on that, you could try cutting off an ear of that other guy.
Yeah, it worked for that other guy, cut an ear off. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know, I come up here with that pretty small potatoes compared to that. Geez, I hate to even say that I did something after following that. A couple years ago, I had a chance to get a bunch of white pine 2x12s, actually 2x12s from about 1890. They were in a building in Holland, they were floor joists. So I started making bowls out of it, and that's an example of the bowl. That's 2 layers thick of a 2x12. And then I decided, well, maybe it'd be nice if I put a fancy lid on it. So there's a piece of maple and a piece of miscellaneous glued up billy block, what I call blocks, and made a bowl with a lid.
Good morning, I'm Tom Penninga. Last month we had some big mahogany cutoffs, and I brought one in, but I kept one. And this is, I don't know if you can see this, it's a beautiful big piece of mahogany, and it finished out really nice. I'm really happy with this. So this has the Beal polishing system where I use 3 different grits and end with Carnauba wax. So.
All right, we're going to go online now. Ruby?
Okay, I'm Ruby Claire. I recently had a job turning some candelabras for a church. I needed 20 of them. So I wanted them in a dark wood. So I did them up like this. And then the priest decided they were dark enough to match in the church. So then I had to take them and dye them so that they were darker. Okay. And then he decided all these corners needed to be rounded. So what I did was I routed those and did it in 3 sections. And then this morning I went downstairs and turned some baby rattles. There's black-eyed peas inside. And I needed a way to organize my pencils in the shop. So I made this up. Comes complete with its own eraser. But the only problem is that these are all just a mess thrown in there. So I redid it and came up with this structure instead. And these were so popular, I ended up making several of these for the people in the nursing home to place their paintbrushes when they're painting. Okay?
If we're all done online, nobody else online? Nobody else online. All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and do our demonstration. Thank you.